On this episode of the John 1911 podcast, they aren't confessing. The fire blame game. John Moses Browning didn't jack off horses, and gun discharge at the local airport. Good morning, everybody. This is Karken and Marky, and this is episode 360 of the John 1911 podcast. Today is Monday, January the 13th at 11:15 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Thanks to Karken for reminding me to look that up before I started talking, because he says I struggle with it every time. We are in my endeavor to get more frequent podcasts out in 2025, which was why we had all the construction in 2024. We are back relatively quickly, and lots to talk about. And I want to tell you a funny story. And it was in the news, and I doubt you saw. I don't think anyone's portraying it the way I'm about to portray it, but I think it's funny. So obviously, you know who Don Lemon is, right? You know, the guy that's on CNN, and I don't know if he's still on CNN or maybe he's been brought. I don't know what the relationship is there, but
Yeah, he got
apparently,
whacked out of CNN.
yeah. But he apparently got on TV and had a little mini meltdown, because a lot of these people are having a meltdown because at the Jimmy Carter wake, or the funeral, I guess the funeral, the service at the National Cathedral, Obama and Trump were sitting there chit chatting, was having a good old time talking, and all these radical leftists who have been told by the media forever that Trump's a Nazi, they're hyperventilating. They're like, how can Obama talk to him? It's like, because you've been brainwashed into thinking stupid shit, and even Obama doesn't actually believe that. And so old Don Lemon, he gets on TV and he basically says, I would not be sitting there smiling if Donald Trump called my wife a man, because Trump, went after Michelle. And I'm listening to this and I'm thinking, but Don, your wife is a man. Like, I don't know what the fuck point you're trying to make here, but like, have a little self-awareness there, brother. Like, what are you doing? I mean, in your case, like, really? Excuse me, I'm coughing. I still got a little bit of the flu, so so yeah, I just thought that was funny. That's one of the things, because I guess I'm the producer of the podcast. I get to talk about it on pod because it makes me laugh. I don't know if any of the listeners like it, but I look at shit like that and just go, "Yep, this is why y'all unemployed, because you're all out of your mind." So, ooh,
That joke just writes itself.
that joke does just write itself. Let me um. Apparently, let's see, copy a link. Uh, Danny wants to come in. Hold on. Hold on. Let me type this. I know this doesn't sound good to the listener, and we'll see if Danny can join us. So we'll see if the software will let him join us. So what's been going on with you?
Oh, not a lot. We finally got enough cold weather that we've got fishable ice. So I've been hitting the local lakes a little bit, just kind of wetting the line here and there. Finally got into a few yesterday, so till the wind picked up. We got a whole whopping 5 degrees out there now, so we're making good ice. So
Oh yeah, I
we'll
think
have
that's
some
heading my
ice
way.
fishing content coming up here pretty soon.
That'd be cool. I don't think we've ever had that. So I saw a video on the internet. You think it was yesterday? These dudes were ice fishing, and a beaver swam up and tried to come up out of their hole, and they were screaming like little girls. I guess a beaver tear your ass up.
Yeah, they're kind of mean. Good sized beaver will get, 40, 45 pounds. And let's face it, they can chew trees in half. So I used to do what's called noodling, which is, hand fishing for catfish, reaching up under stumps and grabbing them and pulling them out. And I grabbed hold of a beaver by the tail one time, and I'm not sure who walked on water faster, me or the beaver, but I have never been hand fishing again after that episode.
So wait a minute. So there was a beaver under the water, and you didn't know it was there.
Yeah, I was reaching up basically under a log and, trying to feel around for a fish. I thought what was a fish tail, it was a beaver tail, went to grab him and pull him out, and he was decidedly unhappy that I disturbed him.
Ooh. Ooh.
And I have not been hand fishing since.
Hmm. I mean, I'm gonna have to Google beaver bite. Like, I don't like. What is that gonna look like?
You might want to rephrase that one. I'm not sure that
I didn't.
you
I
didn't
didn't
think
mean to
that
do
one
that.
through, did you?
No. Well, you know what? I mean, I can't use what's her name? Your favorite noodler, Hannah. What's her name? That
Hannah
girl.
Barron.
Hannah Barron. I'll tell you what, ever since we talked about that and that girl, like the internet has targeted me, I see stuff from her every day on social media.
Oh yeah,
It shows up on Instagram, Facebook, YouTube, what she's doing, what she's building, what she's noodling, just whatever Hannah
sitting
parent.
in
I
a
mean, I know
boat
I
eating a piece of watermelon, like that is
yeah, and
big
it's just
news.
like
But it's in a bikini, so it
I'm
works.
like not interested, not interested, not because it's like, good for her, but I mean, I'm not her target audience. I'm just like, I don't,
Exactly.
yeah, I don't, I mean, like, she's a cute little girl, but she's like a little girl. And I'm like, I'm not, I don't know. I mean, a video of Hannah Barron grabbing a beaver tail under a log and seeing what happens might be pretty good. So it looks like Danny may have just come in. I don't know
It
if
shows
his
on my
mic.
screen he is.
Danny, are you there, or are you just stalking us, quietly?
Uh, yes, I'm here. Some of us had to go out and
Go out and
shovel.
shovel. Yeah. So I shoveled with my tractor.
Not gonna lie, that's how I do it too.
Yeah.
Are we live?
Yeah.
Are we
Yeah,
still
dude. Everybody
pre-intro?
can hear you right now. Well, we're live, brother. You're in it. So
No, yeah, I'm in
yeah,
it to win it.
you've already missed my Don Lemon joke about him being pissed off at Obama for talking to Trump, and you have to listen to the podcast to figure out what that joke was. It's just I thought.
I actually watched that on YouTube. The clip.
Yeah,
Yeah, I seen it. Yeah, it's like, you know, I mean, I liken that to a whole other bunch of rats leaving the ship. That's my theory on it.
yeah. It's just all these people have been convinced that Trump is like freaking Munich 1939 or whatever, and it's just like, come on, just get over yourselves. So
Well, they're also all over Mark Zuckerberg, with Facebook about bowing to kiss the ring to Trump and all the other stuff. The liberals are losing it. I really don't know if they're losing it more of them realizing they have 7 days from today and then their evil ways are going to be gone for 4 years, or what I personally think is their golden boy, Greasy Gavin. Who they were grooming for the next 4 years, is he's not going to live this one down.
dude, I don't know if Kraken, if you saw this, Gavin Newsom did this interview with somebody out there. It might have been BBC, I don't know, but somebody out there on the West Coast, and he's outside, and obviously it's been horrendous. I mean, like, we touched on it on the last podcast, but the fires that have gone on in California, in Southern California, I mean, it's biblical. I mean, it's unbelievable. And he's given this interview, and he looks like he's having like a grand mal seizure. He won't stop moving his hands. He's like, I don't know what.
Oh yes, I
It's
seen that.
weird.
Yes.
It's just like I've never seen him discombobulated like that before, and I think he's realizing that the worm is turning, and he's going to get jammed up on this because I saw he destroy or knock down like 3 dams in the past couple years, and that's keeping the water from going south. And I don't know. There's all this. You hear all these weird
he
stories.
he diverted he diverted the water. The water from Northern California and all the mountains, all the other stuff, was supposed to flow southbound, of course, which is nature, and the melting water was supposed to fill up all the reservoirs. Well, supposedly the water was diverted, and instead of going to fill the reservoirs, was pumped back out into the Pacific Ocean, never reaching Southern
Well, they don't
California
call it diversion; they call it water reclamation. That's the way they. Yeah,
or
that's what they call.
whatever.
That's what because we're reclamating the water to nature, and it's like okay. I mean, I am obviously for not destroying fisheries, and and like I mean, we can figure some of this out, but let's not empty these reservoirs. So I mean, you know, I,
Well, and also, did you see the interview yesterday with the female fire chief of LA? She was asked point blank, "Were you aware that that main reservoir was empty?" And she came right out and said, "No, nobody told her." Well, if I'm fire chief of a giant metropolitan area, wouldn't I sort of make sure that you have everything in place in case something
like
does
I don't know.
happen? I
In her
mean,
defense on that, I don't know if that's her job. Like I'm going to tell you, like right now, like I don't know if the fire chief of the city of Cincinnati, off the top of his or her head, could 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 accurately state, oh yeah, you know the the water towers 1 through 7 around the county are 100% full. Like I don't know that. Like I know that they check the fire hydrants, but I don't know. Like I legit don't know. I'm not going to
uh,
kick her. I'm not going to kick
I,
her on the reservoirs because she's not the water district. She, as far as the firefighters are concerned, their responsibility, I would imagine, begins and ends with the fire hydrants.
to me, that's like a cop showing up at a live bank robbery and not forgetting to pack his bullets. It's like you have to be prepared. Don't you have underlings to check on all that kind of stuff and give staff reports?
Yeah. See, the
Well,
thing is, I mean, go ahead, Kraken. Go ahead.
here's kind of where I'm at with it. Uh, First off, that reservoir is a huge part of their wildfire firefighting plan. So I'm sure it's got to be in their emergency management program. And I would find it terribly hard to believe that if that was going to be taken offline and not available, considering it is such a huge part of their wildfire firefighting system, that there would not be some type of LA County Fire Department sign off, at least acknowledging that they knew it would be offline for this prospective amount of time. Uh,
I'm with you, Kraken, on this. It's just like when I was out on the road plowing snow on the interstate. I'm going to go out there. Oh, our salt shed's empty. Maybe we should have had somebody order salt. It's I agree
I
with
mean,
you
in
on
our
this.
little
Okay.
town of 1,000 people here, if they're going to take a water main offline, there's countywide, every EMS, law enforcement, public service agency is notified that a water main in my little town of 1,000 people is going to be offline for approximately a week, and plan accordingly for any contingencies.
Okay. Well, I stand corrected. I am outvoted 2-1. I guess when you start talking about the regional joint task force and the emergency management system, because they do that shit here in Cincinnati, and you're absolutely right. They always have these liaisons that go to the central location and they represent each department, and they all should be talking to each other. That's what it's for. You're right.
Yeah.
You're 100% right.
Did did you hear in LA what the female assistant fire chief said? She was asked, "Well, what happens if a female runs into a burning building and there's a man there? Is she able to carry him out?" Did you hear what her
Oh,
answer
I don't know if this
was?
woman's a fire chief. She's a firefighter.
She's the assistant
Okay,
fire
so she's a
chief.
fire chief.
She's the assistant
I
fire
saw
chief.
this video and I literally was reminded of a scene from a movie. And I'll paraphrase it, then I'm going to go to the scene of the movie. She's talking and she's, like, I'm a lesbian or whatever thing she's supposed to be. I can't even tell. Like, I look at her, I'm like, is this a man? It's a woman, it's a man. I don't know what this is. So this she goes and she's telling all this stuff, and then she, divert all her whatever things. And she looks kind of overweight. And and someone goes, well, you can't, can you carry my husband out of a fire? And she's like, well, if you're in a situation where I have to carry your husband out of a fire, he's in the wrong place, or he put himself in the wrong position. And
Yep.
then in my mind, because my mind runs like a movie, there's a cut, and Steve Carell walks off to the edge of the screen with his two buddies from the financial movie, and he goes, I don't understand. Why are they confessing? And they look at him and go, they're not confessing. They're bragging. And it's like, holy fuck.
Yep.
Like, that video alone, in my mind, is literally is conditions and cause to fire that person right now. Because it's like, wait a minute. We've been told for 30 years that if you can pass the standards, you can have the job. And, we've having this battle with, women in the infantry and women, in tanks and, and women in the fire department and all this kind of stuff. And then here we are 30 years later, 40 years later, and we got this soft bodied, fat fuck lesbian woman who's like, yeah, fuck you and your husband. And it's like, you're done. Like, fuck you, you're done, sue me. I don't give a fuck. And here's the other thing.
Well,
I'm gonna say this. Like, this is gonna be bad. And this is gonna be and what I'm about to
I'll,
say is because we have listeners in California. We have listeners in California, and what I'm about to say is gonna probably piss a lot of them off. They're already coming out trying to get the federal government to bail all these people out and pay for all this shit. And my opinion is we can't. We cannot do this. I'm sorry that all you people are going to get wiped out. But if we pay for it and you rebuild and go right back to the way you've been operating with your little bullshit quotas and your little bullshit way of doing things and not focusing on basic services like crime, law enforcement, firefighting, garbage collection, and paving the roads, we're going to give you all this money and you're just going to go right back to what you were doing, and we're going to do this again. If you pay for something, you get more of it. We have proven this time and time again. And I am sorry, California. There's a lot of people that live there that are conservatives. They're Republicans. They're gun people. They're people that they're not crazies. But I am sorry. We can't pay for this because it won't change.
well, here's the thing. Also, when Biden said he's going to give 100% for this, for that, all the other stuff, what about the people in North Carolina from the hurricane that were flooded out? They were only given $750 apiece. But yet Biden wants to put billions into California and into LA. How could and don't forget, if there's a Trump sign in the house, that we got to skip over it. They don't get the
Uh-huh.
$750. How can you justify the folks from the hurricane in North Carolina getting only $750, but yet carte blanche for California? It is because North Carolina is a red state and California and LA area is blue. What's going on here? There has to be some equity somewhere.
Well, okay, you're seeing everybody's kind of going to their priors on this. And this is where the media, the left media is trying very hard to find a way out to save their golden boy. And commies always do this, okay? So what happened in Russia, in the Russian Revolution, is the Bolsheviks come in and they're like, we're going to do all this shit and we're going to change all these rules, and then they started running out of food and people were starving. So then instead of taking responsibility for what they fucking did, they look around and they go, who can we blame here? Well, the people that own farms and land, the kulaks, is that what they called them? The kulaks? They're like, it's the kulaks' fault. So they went and killed all the farmers and took all their land and made it worse. So here's what's happening. Okay. LA, I'm not going to claim I know how every little municipality works out there. I haven't been to California in a long time. I used to know some of it. But like these areas out there, okay, they make decisions with their water, they make decisions with their reservoirs, they make decisions with their forest management, they make decisions with their with what they invest in firefighting and that kind of stuff. Okay, but they're like, we got to find some. Why don't we have water? Let's find somebody to blame. So they have identified this family that's in California that grow. They have a large pistachio farming operation, and I guess pistachios use a lot of water. And so the argument is, they're like, these people are terrible. These pistachio farmers, they started running this story. These pistachio farmers, they have as much water, they own the water, they have as much water as the entire city of LA. And it's like, if they didn't own this water, we would have had the water to fight the fires. And it's like, no, asshole, that's the wrong fucking question. Why did you let all that water run out and go into the ocean and not grab a bunch of it and keep it? And it's because they want to say, well, these people have water and we don't have water, so it's their fault. It's never like, well, it's our fault for not having water. I mean, the pistachio farmers are like, we're running fucking pistachio farms. It's like, we need a ton of fucking water. Like, I think the guacamole or the avocado farmers are like another group that use a fuck ton of water. And it's like, well, this isn't their fault. They're in the business of growing all this shit so you hippies can eat this food. But now all of a sudden, this family, they want to blame all. We would have had water if it wasn't for the pistachio farmers. And it's like, dude, fuck you. They're not changing one goddamn bit out there in California. And the media is looking for somebody to
Nope.
blame. Fuck them. I'm not
Well,
paying for this.
And
not to mention that
and
water rights and water rooting and reclamation, or whatever the hell they want to call it, between private industry, private citizens, still has to be negotiated and approved through city, county, and state governmental agencies. You just can't go dam up a creek, make your own reservoir to water your pistachio trees without the government getting involved in approving it. So
Mm-hmm.
they're trying to make the
that's right.
farmer the boogeyman, when it was actually government entities that allowed it to happen in the first place.
Oh, and here's the thing:
I,
it's wording, it's phrasing, it's how it's presented. Because it cost these pistachio farmers, they're billionaires, I guess, because they've been doing this a long time. They say they own the water. Well, they own the water because they fucking paid for it, you assholes. And we had a situation
right.
here. It was during a drought a couple years ago, and we have like the Cincinnati Waterworks in the county, and then we have like some independent little townships, uh, and they're doing they have their own source of water. So some of them are in the county city system, and some of them have their own system. Well, over on the east side of the county, there's this little village called Indian Hill, and it's like a rich part of town. And they have the biggest states, but they got their own water supply that comes right out of the river. And so what happened was, they have a station where a tanker truck can come under this thing, and they pull a lever, and it literally douches. It fills up one of these tanker trucks. I mean, it probably in like a matter of minutes, and it's this giant pipe. And somebody saw this and had a little shit attack about it, because somebody's not allowed to. They're like, don't water your grass. And somebody followed this truck and complained that they're doing, I don't know, whatever it was. Well, it turns out that it was a farming operation, and this farm had contracted with this water supply service, and they were spending money, and they spent money every year. And they had a contract, and it's like, we're paying for this. We bought this. We need it every fucking year to keep our crops going. And it's a known thing. Just because you don't know it doesn't mean it doesn't exist. But I'm sorry that your grass is brown, but this farm can't fail. And they paid for it. And it's like, well, yeah, 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 yeah. And it's like, well, fuck you. You don't know how anything works. And I saw the other thing. Adam Carolla came out, and everybody's seen it. But he goes, all these people living in Pacific Palisades, they're going to try to rebuild, and they're going to have to go down, and they call it the Coastal Commission, which was like a big red flag to me. Go down to the Coastal Commission. They're going to have to draw a permit, and the 28-year-old little bitch down at the Coastal Commission is going to tell them to fuck off. And then I saw another video. Jillian Michaels. She's the fitness woman who was real popular a while ago. A very attractive woman. She's a lesbian too, by the way. And she had left California, and she was saying that a number of years ago, 6, 7, 8, 9 years ago, I don't know if it was like her whole house burned down or some shit had happened, and like this giant fire, she got wrapped up in it. And she said it took, I don't know if it was a year or 2 years just to be able to clean her pool, because during the fire, all these animals trying to get away from the fire jumped into her pool, and they all died and rotted. And she literally, for even over a year, couldn't clean the shit out of her pool because she couldn't get a quote permit. And it's like
Yep.
you people are insane.
Yep. Mrs. Danny showed me an article today that the average permit time in that area in California is 10 years before you get it. 10 years. So these people are going to be living in the streets for 10 years.
Oh,
Oh
no,
man.
I'm sure the
Yeah.
federal
And
government will step in and expedite that process.
Yeah.
well, and here's the thing: the Democrats are doing the 3 Ds: deny, deflect, and divert. Because this, no matter what, and why do you think?
You
Well,
sound
it's
like
the
a political
truth.
operative with
And
that one. I got the 3 Ds. Okay, go ahead. Go.
well, wait, Marky, what's my job title here at John
Chief
1911?
political correspondent. Go ahead.
All right. Well, so anyway, also, did you see where Newsom called Biden and was begging Biden to stop the disinformation, fingers up, that the Republicans and Trump are spreading? It's not disinformation when it's the truth, and it's coming home. It's coming home to roost. And Newsom, all his cronies around him, it's it's settling in, and they don't like it. And the mainstream media is still doing their best to try to do the 3 Ds, but the people aren't having it. They're not having it this time
I mean,
around.
it's just, like somebody showed, I don't know if like a picture, I think I might have saved it. And it's like, what are the odds? Did they show this? And again, this isn't real, but what are the odds? Is like the odds. Here, I got the photograph here. The odds that one fire department. We have a mute button, Danny. Um, okay,
I know, but I didn't
okay,
have time. I just came in from
okay.
outside.
The odds that the fire department.
The man that came in from the correspondent that
Yeah,
came in
the
from the
odds that
cold.
one fire department would have two white and one black lesbian fire chief. Like apparently the command staff for this can't be the entire command staff. I'm sure it's a bigger fire department than just 3 people, than 3 chiefs. But it's a white lesbian, a black lesbian, and a white lesbian, and it's like that's kind of fucking weird. Like statistically speaking, like
Well,
I'm just saying, like all we hear for years and years and years is X city is 16, 18, 20, 30% black, but the police department isn't, there's all these white people in this police department, and so they got to they balance it out to reflect the community. It's like, okay, wait a minute, like how many lesbians, gay or lesbians, are there in the population? Like, is it a 1%, a half a percent? Like, realistically, even if you're being generous, 3%, what are we doing here? Like, this is weird. Like, there's a lot of weirdness here. And, um, and it's all coming into focus with the craziness that's gone out there in California.
well, you have to remember too, the mayor, she's part of that glee club of the 3 fire chiefs
Well, she's a
also.
communist.
I heard that she also is a swinger.
Well, I don't care about that. No, I mean, she's a communist.
Oh, I do.
Okay, okay.
You
So,
you you trying to drop a hint that you maybe want to join in there, Danny, or
so
you know, they might need a pivot, man. You
a
never know.
pivot man. So, but apparently she used to go. She used to go to Cuba every year with some little communist retreat every year, sometimes twice a year, but I know at least every year for years for some international communist thing that she was involved in. And it's like,
Really?
well, of course she's a communist because that's how it's always someone else's fault. There's no responsibility. It's always the system. Again, let's go kill the
That's
kulaks.
exactly what
Yeah,
Newsom. That's what Newsom is doing right
yeah,
well,
now.
let's kill
here's
the kulaks. Let's kill the pistachio farmers. Let's kill the whatever. Kraken, I heard a story, an anecdotal story that I thought you would appreciate. So there is a city called, where is it? What's it called? I can't remember the name of the city, but there's a small town out there in California that here Laguna Beach. Laguna Beach. They
That's not a small town.
well, they're okay. Okay, well, relative to like whatever, but Laguna Beach, they actually manage their underbrush in Laguna Beach, California. Kraken, can you guess? And I'm choosing you for a reason. Can you guess what they do to manage their underbrush?
probably controlled burns.
No, even better. They use goats. They apparently
Hold on,
apparently
I
there's
got I got to dip out of here. I got to load my trailer with a couple of goats. I'm headed west,
yeah, Kraken has a bunch of goats. Oh, listen to this. They
heading
charge
to Beverly Hills.
it's $400 an acre. So you show up with your goats and you're like 5 acres, 5 times 400, and there you go. And I don't know how long it takes goats to tear up an acre,
Just
but
just
I
just
mean,
rename me Jed.
it's like
I'm
with
packing
that
up and going to Beverly Hills.
with your furry gold. Now, do your goats fall over like if they get scared? Is that the kind of goat you have?
Yeah, all goats will do that, but there's specific breeds that it's more prevalent. Mine are what they call meat goats. Uh, so I've trust me, I've tried like hell to get them to faint because uh, it's wildly entertaining. I had a buddy with 40 fainting goats, and we never got a damn thing done on the race car once we started fucking with goats. But mine will not do it. Mine are even to the point if I step out the back door of the armory to test fire a weapon, they come running now. So what you doing? What you doing? But
Oh
as
yeah.
far as the renting out goats to clear underbrush, that's actually there's guys that make pretty good money around here doing that.
Really?
Oh yeah, you've got a piece of property or something that you let get away from you, get overgrown. You just go to Tractor Supply, buy a solar fencer, uh, and I'm talking, an acre to almost unlimited, and you just fence it in, with some electric fence so they can't get out. Guy shows up with a trailer with 5 to 50 goats. I've got 2 goats. I can probably get an acre completely cleaned up of underbrush in 2 3 days.
Two.
We haven't
Wait,
mowed
wait,
the
Nice.
yard since we've had the goats.
you're telling me that two goats can clear an acre in 2 to 3 days?
They only do 3 things. They eat, they shit, and they look cute.
That's
That's
Now,
it.
okay, like so,
The
literally
guy
a
down.
goat's
so they
life.
eat the grass, but would they eat like honeysuckle? Would they eat?
Yep,
They eat
they
anything.
eat anything. One of the biggest surprises I got with goats, uh, evidently, they like the brown dried leaves in the fall better than they do fresh green leaves that fall. I let them out of the pen to run in the fall, and it's like they've been standing there all morning picking out where the wads of brown. I didn't rake a leaf this year.
Really? That's
Yep,
interesting.
and
Now, so let me ask you this: so
I
if
mean,
you
they
were to
can
put
plow through some stuff.
now, I would think, especially out there in California, because you can't hunt anything.
Probably. I assume that's probably not fair. But like if we were to come into an area and be like, it's bring Kraken's goats, and we unload them, even if we put a little wire fence around, which depending could be a pain in the ass, but, a little electric fence maybe. I would imagine somebody would have to sit out there with a rifle to run off the coyotes.
The guy
No,
down the street has pygmy goats. I'd feel sorry for a coyote that jumped into that herd.
a
They're
goats will flat fuck up coyotes.
Yeah, they do.
Really?
Yes, yes, yes.
Well, I mean, I'm 6 foot and down to 235 now, and I laid on the ground in the fetal position for almost 15 minutes after one of my goats decided he wanted to play and got me in the nuts
Hmm.
when he was only about half grown. So yeah, if anything gets in the pen,
It's
uh,
dead.
yeah, my dogs chase them, and the goats are like, "Okay, bitch, come on."
That's interesting because I know that we have near the John 1911 range. One of the neighbors I had heard, and they were quite upset. They're all upset about the bobcats, and we definitely have bobcats, and like it's going to be an issue where they're going to start allowing probably some hunting, and I guess the bobcats had gotten into their goat pen and just destroyed their fucking goats.
Yeah,
And
bobcats
they,
will. They're mean critters. We got them
yeah,
out here, and we've got a few mountain lions floating around too. So
Hmm.
we have rumors of mountain lions out here. There's always been a rumor, and you don't know if it's really
hold
true
on,
or not.
hold on just a minute, because I'll bet I know what the rumor is. I'll bet the rumor goes something along the lines of Ohio DNR bought 6 or 8 or 10 mountain lions from pick any state that has them and covertly introduced them into the state of Ohio to help control the deer population because the insurance companies are raising too much hell about the number of car deer accidents.
No,
And
that's not the rumor. They would never allow that in Ohio. People would
that's
lose
like
their fucking.
in a 5 state region around here. That rumor's been going around forever. And it always ends up with I've got a neighbor with a buddy whose cousin, whose aunt's uncle's brother had a knock at the door, and it was an Iowa DNR agent saying, "Where's the cat?" And the guy says, "What cat?" "Well, we've got this trucking caller, and this cat hasn't moved for 48 hours, and this is where we say he is." And I've had a $500 reward for anybody that could give me an Iowa DNR property receipt for a confiscated dead mountain lion. You
So
you you cannot go to a bar and sit amongst a group of hunters without hearing that story. Just say something about I saw a great big track. I don't know if it's a coyote or a mountain lion, and here come the state DNR. I mean, it's literally right up there with who killed Kennedy as far as conspiracy
I
theories.
think I think I think Elvis Presley, co-piloted by JFK, flew a UFO down, and they dropped the mountain lion, and the mountain lion's trained specifically to put anal probes up people's butts. And I think you should just wrap every conspiracy theory into one thing, and then every time you try to shoot the mountain lion, the bullet turns into a magic bullet and zips around the mountain lion. You can't shoot it
Like
because
Matrix
of
style.
because of gravitic drive. It's like, okay, let's get them all. Let's get every one of these things. You
As,
know,
hey, speak about FBI conspiracy theories with Ray resigning, and if the new director passes the Senate and gets confirmed, he has said that he's going to release the JFK tapes, the JFK files, and a bunch of other things. So they could be interesting.
well, I'm going to say this. I've kind of hinted at this before. I think I've probably said it, so I want to stake out my position here once and for all. I do not believe, and I have never believed for 1 minute, that the CIA killed JFK, was involved in the death of JFK, or was responsible for the death of JFK. It's obvious to me what it is. And that douchebag that shot JFK was a communist. He was in the Marine Corps in the U.S. He defected to Russia. He either didn't like it or they sent him back, and he came back with a little Russian wife. Came back to the U.S. and then he's associating with communists, I guess, for something with Cuba, and then he visited the Russian embassy in Mexico, and he either did it under orders from the Russians or the Cubans, or he did it on his own, and or a rogue element told him to do it, and everyone was trying to distance themselves from it because, and nobody, the reality is, as terrible as it was, nobody wanted to start World War III with nuclear weapons by telling everybody that the commies killed Kennedy. And they were like, we gotta turn this way the fuck down, or this is going to turn into World War One all over again. And that's the conspiracy. That's
No,
why I'm
then
staking my flag down.
why did Jack Ruby kill Oswald then on his way to jail? There's a whole
Because
lot of other things.
he was a nutty gangster, and gangsters have this weird sense of patriotism.
And then what happened to
Mm-hmm.
Jack Ruby's demise? There's questions to be asked.
Well, that's real
We'll
simple. He was a gangster that colored outside the lines, and that's bad for business.
mm-hmm. I don't
Yeah.
think this. Yeah, we'll see. I
Sometimes the
mean,
simplest explanation is actually the most accurate. I
But,
mean, we
inquiring minds want to know.
well,
well,
then
look,
here's my
we
theory.
will find out. We will
No, we
find
won't.
out. Cash Patel. I truly do believe that Cash Patel is going to just be like, we're letting it all out because he has the political cover from Trump. They don't care about anybody or anything. I'm sure even if there's some kind of like, there may be some little thing where maybe we had an inside mole in the GRU and the KGB in Russia that gave us some information about, what the Russians were saying about, like, maybe the Russians were freaking out, going, what the fuck, they're going to think it was us. And then someone's like, Vladimir, it was us. And it's like, what the fuck? And so they'll probably redact something like that. And then all the conspiracy theorists will be like, see, there's something there. But they're not going to give methods and sources for shit coming out of Russia or the Cubans because they don't want to burn any of that stuff. But I'm planting my flag down that the commies killed Kennedy. It's simple as that. And you get some little guy. He's he's a like he's just like, I'm going to show everybody, or I'm disaffected, or my life doesn't work. And it's like this, and for years, like Oliver Stone talking about that goddamn shot, like, it's this incredible shot with this crappy rifle and a Marine marksman, and like, it's incredible. Like, fuck you bitches. I've been there. I've seen the distance. I could teach your grandma to make that shot in literally in less than 10
Well, the
minutes.
FBI recreated the shot numerous times on video. It's not that difficult of a shot.
Not
So
that difficult. It's literally within point blank
it's a chip shot.
range of that goddamn rifle.
Yeah, it's a chip shot.
It's like, fuck. Okay. Let me give people a clue. To put this in perspective, I posted a photograph. I had shot a groundhog at the John 97 range with a red dot on a pistol, two hands at like 90 some yards, which was farther than what the dude shot JFK with that Karken rifle. That was what, like 65 yards, 73 yards?
Yeah.
It's close.
At what, 15 mile an hour because he was making the corner basically?
Yeah, I mean the car's
It
not
was
going that
extremely
fast.
slow speed. So I
Yeah,
mean,
because they're yeah, it's a parade. I mean
I've
it's
been
people.
watching for 50 years guys whacking running deer at 70, 80 yards, running crossways full speed with a 12 gauge pumpkin ball slug with a
Mm-hmm.
vent rib barrel with just a bead on it and rolling them. So this guy wasn't a hunter, uh, but he was a trained marksman. The Marine Corps, especially back then, did a good job training him. But here's the flag I'm gonna plant, and it's two part. Number one, the best intel often can't be used because it's so good it would give away sources and methods. So
Mm-hmm.
there's reason number one, we're never going to find out what really happened, if anything happened.
I think we'll find out what happened. We just won't give
And
it methods and
and
sources.
and number two, uh, anything that could possibly incriminate anybody got hammered and bleached bit Hillary style decades ago.
Yeah,
there's
that's a good
nothing
point.
left anywhere that anybody can find. I mean, if Hillary's smart enough to break cell phones with a hammer, I'm pretty sure Christians in Action and all the other alphabet soup agencies that even could be remotely implicated have scrubbed everything. And we also have to remember that anybody in power back in those days is either dead or circling the drain more than likely.
Yeah.
So firsthand accounts just aren't going to be there. Anything committed to a hard source that could be released has long been scrubbed. And quite honestly, it's good cannon fodder for conspiracy theories. It's kind of like, Elvis is still alive and advising JFK in the basement of the White House, and the Freemasons run the world.
Yeah,
It's
Right.
just
Elvis isn't dead.
something that's
Elvis isn't dead. He just went home.
yeah.
So
Well, he went to Ireland to visit the Loch Ness monster. But
there you go. Elvis on the back of the Loch Ness monster, like the guy in riding the missile at the end of that Doctor Strangelove movie.
so I have a question for you guys.
Okay.
Why Jack Smith, he resigned today, but why is he himself and the DOJ so hell bent in releasing all of the Trump court proceedings to the public? What good is it going to do them?
For the
You mean they're
same reason
releasing it?
Mershon finally sentenced Trump, even though there was
Yeah,
basically
what exactly? Oh,
it's just a last dig. It's counting coup.
so they could call Trump a convicted felon.
Yeah,
That was
it's
the lead
counting
in on
coup.
every news that there was.
Well, and how many talking heads did not understand the fact that you can call him a convicted felon all you want, but until there's an order of sentence filed by the court, he's not convicted. He's just been found guilty. But,
which
the media never told you that.
which will be appealed and overturned, I think. I really
Hmm.
do.
Well,
But
It's
I
so,
it's
think
just it's
a
just sour
talking point.
grapes from the losing team.
yeah, I mean it's politics, and they're going to do what they can, and they want to
Do you
spike the
think
ball a little bit while they're in power.
all
But it's
right,
not a conspiracy. It's just it's what they're going to do.
Yeah, it's kind of like when a wide receiver makes a catch for a first down, and he jumps up and he does his big first down symbol, and then they show the score, and his team is down 34 points in the fourth
right.
quarter.
Yeah. Oh, I agree with that. Here's my other question. Day one, we know Trump's going to have 100 executive orders. I mean, his team is combing through everyone that Biden put out there. But besides the executive orders, which a lot need to be reversed,
Hmm.
how deep do you think some of Trump's appointments are going to grind axes once they're in? I think it's going to go very deep. I'm
I
thinking
think
cutting
most
to the
of them.
bone. I do too.
I think most of them. I think Trump is basically decided he has two advantages here that he didn't have when he first came in. And he's finally admitted it somewhat. But basically, he's like, I never knew how to be president. You kind of have to
Hmm.
figure out some stuff. You have to figure out not only how things work in the executive branch, but kind of how things work in Congress. And you're even seeing it now with Trump talking about trying to getting Congress to pass like the debt ceiling and some other stuff. And he's basically like, I want one big beautiful bill. That's the way he says it. I want one big beautiful bill. But then he's like, well, but you know what? If we have to make it two, if that's what it takes, he's like, then we'll make it two. And he's learning that he has to kind of pick his battles a little bit. But the other thing is he's been through all of these processes of getting people appointed and nominated and confirmed. And he is he knows how to be president. He's coming in. He's knows how to be president. He's had 4 years to make his naughty lists, and he's had 4 years to make his positions known. And one thing, Trump, you can say he keeps score on people, but he's more practical. He gets along with Ted Cruz. You have a dog wife, Ted. Like they get along now. Like he sits and talks to Obama. So, but I feel that Trump, within the confines of the executive branch, is going to go I'm not going to say crazy. I would love him to go crazy, but he's probably going to do shit because he's going to do shit that's going to mark his term in history forever. So, like, for example, he isn't, he'll probably release all the JFK files. He'll probably release stuff on aliens if there's anything to that story. He will, I'm super curious. He tweeted or truth or whatever he does. I don't know what to call it anymore. So
Truth Social.
he was bitching the other day. He's like, shit doesn't work anymore. He may not have said shit, but basically the water pressure sucks and something else. And you could tell he was getting mad about the shower heads being low flow and the toilets being low flow. And I am so interested in the possibility. Like, I don't know if that stuff was passed, if the low flow stuff was passed through Congress, or whether it came from like the EPA through the same thing that the ATF does. And then I'm really wondering, it's like,
Then you
well,
get
okay, if we,
Chevron involved.
well, the Chevron deference, but that was, but they kind of blew that up. And so, but then here's the thing, it's like, okay, what if he could get rid of, he won't do shit on guns. He's just maybe, but not now. Maybe he'll go for the low flow toilets and he'll go for the shower heads. I really hope and wonder if he would go after DEF fluid on diesel. Because that DEF fluid, that shampoo shit they put in all these vehicles is destroying all these vehicles.
Yes, it is.
Nothing runs right, nothing lasts,
I
and
just
it,
bought a new diesel, so don't even get me started on DEF.
then you can, yeah, and you may be able to rip it out. And
Well,
it's
here's the
like,
problem. It's federally illegal to delete that shit. And
mm,
it's easy to delete, but it becomes real hard to trade your vehicle in because federally the dealership can get in a lot of trouble for even
I
taking it
know,
on trade.
I know. Well, they've gone after the tuner shops, some of the big most. But I'm
Yep.
wondering if somebody will
But
get
it
in
voids
Trump's
your
ear.
warranty too.
Well, no, but if somebody, no, wait, if somebody gets in Trump's ear, because like the fact that Donald Trump got on the internet and was bitching about water pressure in shower heads. What happens is shit comes to his attention and he goes, what the fuck? And
Mm-hmm.
if somebody gets in his ear and goes, hey, you know what's going on with all this DEF fluid? Do you know you got diesel trucks? It would be no problem for diesel vehicles to go hundreds of thousands of miles or 1,000,000 miles. And all the people that buy all these vehicles and operate these vehicles are working class people. And the shit's expensive. It's $100,000 goddamn truck. And it's tearing itself apart. It's eating its own shit because of this DEF fluid. You might wonder if Donald Trump just goes, fuck it. Executive order, rip all the DEF fluid out of vehicles. I think
And
there's if somebody can get that in front of him, I think he'll do it.
If they'd
Make
at
diesel
least
great
drop
again.
the if they'd at least drop the making it illegal to delete it and make it a choice. I don't know if he could do away with it because it is so pervasive in the industries now. But if he could turn around and just and I think it would have to go through Congress because it's a federal law.
I don't know
But
if it's a federal law or not. I
but
really
be
don't. I
but be
because
able
all
to
because the ATF fucking puts that shit out there that's like that, and I can't help but wonder if some of this EPA stuff is the same way.
well, that's where I
And
kind of was going with the Chevron decision. Uh, you might have to get Congress involved because the EPA and the DOT are just making arbitrary rules
well, no,
based off
okay,
their interpretation of a law.
you're behind on case law. The Supreme Court basically decimated the Chevron deference when they went after the I think it was the rules for the machine guns. Like the Supreme Court has basically destroyed Chevron, the Chevron deference precedent over the gun law rulings that they had with
Mm-hmm.
the Supreme Court. So it's like, their argument is if you want this to be illegal, you have to pass a law in Congress. And I'm
Yeah,
super
that's where I
curious.
was going with it.
Well, but
So
if it was implemented without passing a law, then Trump can undo it.
exactly, but if it's law, which I am under the impression it is, then it would take Congress to undo it.
Well, and then here's the thing too, but also, okay, just from the power of Donald Trump, and Republicans aren't going to like this when I would say it for Barack Obama, but they'll like it for Trump. Even if it's a law, and if Donald Trump gets his teeth into something and he starts coming out and be like, we need to make diesel great again, and we need to do something about this, and like he starts keeping score on people in Congress, and it's like, he starts telling people all of a sudden, everyone around the country that has to deal with all this, they know their representative, their congressman, their senator voted against the diesel, voted against the death law, repealing the death law. They're going to murder them. I'm politically, they're going to murder the shit out of them.
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, I think they get it done. And you could even make an argument if Donald Trump comes out and goes, I'm issuing an executive order, and I'm going to say that this is, he gives some national security reason or whatever that all this diesel is fucking up shit and making things dangerous, and you could have people fighting. We're going to sue you in the federal court and whatever, and back and forth, the executive branch versus whatever, and they're going on. Dude, there's going to be a million people in this country who are going to be like, I'm going to make my Trump a Trump truck, and I'm ripping that shit out of my truck. Fuck you.
Trump.
That'll happen.
Oh,
That'll happen.
Well,
speaking
that's where
about
I think
yeah,
maybe if they did an executive order where he could say whether it's a law or a rule, if he could by executive order exempt at least non-commercial vehicles, because those are the people that bitch the most. The DEF is so pervasive in industrial trucking. I don't know if it would be financially feasible to try and go backwards on that. I mean, smaller companies could, uh, but guys get racked thousands of dollars in fines and have their trucks confiscated because they deleted their 6-7 Cummins and got caught.
Yeah.
yep. And also if you have a diesel pickup and if you trade it in, they stick the tank to make sure there's no red fuel in there.
Oh yeah, yep.
Yeah. 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 Yeah.
Every
Yeah.
pump around here's got off-road diesel with red
But
dye in it.
That's it.
that's a separate issue. That's
Yeah,
taxes. That's a
yep.
separate issue.
Well,
That's
no,
paying road.
Marky, you have an off-road diesel tank at the range, don't you? Or you never got one yet. But if you did, and if you ever bought a new pickup that was a diesel, if you were to put farm plates on it, you could run that red diesel.
Well, okay. Yeah. I mean, I buy off-road diesel for the tractor. I
If
just
you
go to
have
get.
farm plates on a pickup, you could run off-road diesel.
Yeah, but that's such a small exemption. That's not going to mean anything. That's a
No,
tax issue. That's
But
people
you,
paying road taxes. That's
but
not.
but in turn, you could eliminate your death.
no,
Why?
because it's still a licensed vehicle on the road. A farm plate is basically just a different registration rate. Uh,
Yeah, you're confused. Yeah, you're confusing
yeah,
federal gas tax with the DEF is
a farm plate is basically a vehicle that can be used on or off road that's registered to the farm. So there's tax incentives to registering it that way. It has nothing to do with what fuel you can put in it. We've got guys running, well, like my truck's registered agricultural because it's a diesel and 3/4 ton. But if I take it to the sale barn to go sell a cow, DOT shows up and all they got to do is look at tailpipes because that red dye leaves it in there. They'll
Yes, it
they'll
does.
snatch
oh
your truck right there. They don't need a warrant. They don't need anything because that's a federal issue. And
yeah, it's a
your
federal
your truck's
tax
on the
issue.
yeah your
Now remember,
truck's
no,
on the hook
wait,
confiscated
you
and
got to be specific because you have to use the full term because we've been talking about emissions laws, and when you're talking red dye diesel versus regular
that's road
diesel,
tax.
that that's a federal and state tax issue. Yes,
Yep.
because you're not paying the road taxes. Yeah. So that's
Well,
that's
see, it was my understanding because farmers can't be running into town all the time for regular diesel that they were allowed if you had farm plates on your truck that you
No,
could put in the off-road diesel.
no,
they
no,
might. I'm not prepared to say whether it is or it isn't, or whether that changes from state to state to state. It is entirely possible in Southern Illinois, where south of Danny, that they may allow, a farm plated vehicle to use off
no,
road diesel.
no.
I don't know that.
That's a federal. You're in my world now because there's guys that make a living doing nothing but driving bulk trucks out to farms, filling up diesel tanks. Matter of fact, if you pull up to the Cenex station here and pull up to the off road pump with a pickup, you've got to go in and actually tell them you're filling up fuel jugs or you're filling up a jug in the back of the truck. Uh, you can't even auto start an off road pump around here.
Oh,
So
really?
Really?
no, so the farmers, that's why there's anywhere from 200 to 1,000 gallon diesel tanks, and the actually one of the biggest jumps in trailer manufacturing now is bumper hitch fuel tanks, so that farmers can run into town, fill up a 300 gallon bumper tag trailer with an electric pump on it and haul it out to the fields to refuel tractors. But everybody, every little town here has somebody with a uh, bulk truck that all he does all day is ferry diesel back and forth to farmers to
Yeah,
fill
we
up their
have we
tanks
have
on
that
the
at the range.
property. Yep,
Yeah, I mean, I don't get it on our property because our property's locked down, so I can't I
yep.
can't allow people to come on. But I mean, I literally, like, I take the tractor into I'm between two towns. I just get on the one main road and I take the tractor to the small town that's closer, and I pull that tractor right up to that off road pump, and I just put the credit card in, and I start pumping.
hmm
I don't
But
even
now
think they can see me
But now try
it's in
that
a
with my
corner.
Ram 2500, and they'll shut that pump off and say, "What the hell are you doing?"
Yeah, I mean,
So
I
to
don't
fill
even,
my
yeah.
tractor, I just take old 5 gallon race jugs in, and I have to go in and say, "Getting off road for my tractor. It's going in jugs." Oh, okay,
Yeah,
no problem.
we don't have to go in and tell them any, like, I don't know, I don't know, maybe you do, but like, I know that I was talking to our dirt work guys and he was like, I don't know, it was like, I don't know, over the summer, and he goes, where's your diesel, your diesel stand to have diesel delivered to the range? I'm like, I just either take my 5 gallon jugs and go get the off road diesel up in town, or I drive the tractor. And he looked at me and goes, "You drive that tractor on the road?" I'm like, "Well, yeah." I'm like, I don't know. He was just like, "Holy shit." And like, you see tractors on the road out there all the time in harvesting season. I'm like,
Right.
how come I can't drive the fucking tractor on the road? I was out there actually in the road clearing the for the clearing to get in for the drive because of the state vehicles that basically built big mounds to get into our property. And so I'm probably the next time the tractor goes in for service, it really isn't for another 200 hours, but I may take it in early. I'm probably going to get the yellow lights that, like, they're the yellow off road, like like Danny, you had them on your salt truck, the yellow lights that spin on the top of your truck.
Mars lights.
Mars lights, yeah, I can get those for because if you're running on, and they're high, so
Right.
because if there's hills, hopefully someone coming over a hill will see that light sooner than if they see the back of your tractor and slam in the
They
back of you.
will. And they
Yeah,
plug into a cigarette lighter. So you could take them down. They're magnetic right to the roof. A lot of them.
yeah. So, well, I've already talked to Massey about doing that because we run our shit on the road. But yeah, I have put regular diesel in that tractor when I first got it, but then I realized how the off road, because I just, like, I don't know how that works over there. I'm not going to go over there. So, but yeah, I mean, yeah, that's all taxes. So I'll tell you, we've been going for a while. I want to get a few things in, and then we're going to get the blotter, and we're going to go ahead and toss it because I want to have more frequent podcasts and and do all that. So a couple of things I want to mention this. So SHOT Show's coming up here relatively soon, and there's news. I guess it happened a year ago. So SHOT Show is run by the NSSF, National Sports Shooting Foundation, and it's their show. And they set it up, they run it, they sell the tickets, they sell to the vendors and do all that. Well, there's a guy, I don't really know who this guy is. I've seen him on the internet. His name is Eli Duckworth. And Eli, he's kind of turned into this little internet personality. And he works primarily for a 1911 company called Cabot Arms, and then there's Alchemy Custom. It's two companies under one umbrella. And he does their social media. And so, he's a younger guy, but he's 25, and but he's big into the 1911s, custom 1911 scene. I'm not going to say he's like a real compass shooter because he doesn't appear to be, at least to my eyes. But he's into this collectible market. Well, he was working SHOT Show last year, and if you guys know anything about Glock, so Glock was founded, and it's in Austria, and it was a plastics company, and then they made all this money, and Gaston became a billionaire, and then he divorced his wife, and he married this younger woman. She now, I think, runs Glock. Blonde woman. I'm 53. I bet she's not even 50 now. I bet she's in her 40s. And slim blonde woman. She's really big in the horses. That's really what she's into. She's a horse girl. And there are Glock stables in Germany, or in Austria probably, where they breed horses, sell horses, show horses, and they use that Glock symbol. It's the Glock, it's like Yellowstone, but it's for Glock, and it's like that's what they do. Well, they do horse breeding, and do all this kind of stuff. They don't really see it. You don't see it much in America. Well, Eli is aware of this, so he is over at the SHOT Show last year. He gets out a big piece of cardboard and he writes in a big magic marker this message, and he folds up the cardboard. Cardboard's like 4 by whatever, and he goes over to in front of the Glock booth, and he unfolds the cardboard and holds it up, and they take a picture and video of him because he's a 1911 guy representing a 1911 company, and he's trolling the premier striker fired gun in the world, which is the Glock. We live in a Glock 1911 world, and the cardboard said John Moses Browning didn't jack off horses, and this apparently caught on, and they had a shit attack about it. Apparently, Glock complained to NSSF that this was unfair, making fun of their horse breeding stuff, and NSSF banned Eli Duckworth by name for life from the SHOT Show. So I thought that was hilarious. We'll put a picture up of it. So Kraken, had you seen that at all?
I hadn't seen that, but so let me get this straight. You can't make fun of Glock stables, but you can run around and bang all the hookers you want and gamble your life away and show
Now
up
I'm not.
hungover to shot the next day.
I have no reason. Oh wait. Oh, you're talking about. Wait a minute. Wait a minute. You're not talking about Gaston Glock. You're just talking about what happens at SHOT Show. Well,
I'm
that's a
just talking
different
about
story.
anything that
Yeah.
happens in Vegas in general. So you can't make horse breeding jokes, but you can go nail all the hookers and play blackjack and all that, So we have to keep the moral standards in line here.
There's a moral turpitude
There's a
clause.
moral compass, that has to be followed.
Yeah.
So jacking off horses is evidently the red line in the sand.
Danny, if you saw a picture of Mrs. Glock, and I will share a picture of her with you, I'm sure you would quite enjoy watching the video of her jacking off a horse. She's an attractive woman,
Well,
and
yeah.
her social media, I'm going to say this because I never get a chance to say this. She has a social media account, and she she has like a little Facebook page, and I think till just recent, because I got tired of seeing it, because we would follow it just in case, like, oh, if they want to put up something, it'll show up and we'll see it. And what she does is she's a very thin woman. She's attractive. She's blonde. She's like a platinum silver or whatever, like white blonde woman, and she's very thin. And she wears black turtlenecks, skin tight, and then she wears these skin tight black pants, and black shoes. So she's black on black on black, and she has professional photographers follow her around the Glock empire. There's photographs of her in the lobby of the Glock corporate headquarters in Austria, standing there. There's pictures of her looking up longingly at a portrait of Gaston, her late husband. There's pictures of her wearing a white lab coat, in the Glock research laboratory, like she's holding a petri dish or whatever. And she is posting a professional photo shoot photograph of her in this black on black outfit like she's Steve Jobs. If it's not every day, it's every week. And it is super weird. It is super
Well,
duper creepy weird.
if you send me that photo, of course I'll look at it. But in my mind, she's a keeper. She knows how to handle the hardware. So it's
So,
like,
obviously. So,
and then some.
Oh, Lord. I know what the title of this episode is going to be. John Moses Browning did not jack off horses.
yeah, I don't know. I was gonna say she knows how to handle the hardware. So I mean, I just so so anyway, it's kind of it gives me a chance, because I thought that I don't follow like the kids, and like Eli Duckworth is to me is a kid, like he's not a performance based shooter, and that's fine. But it gave me a chance to talk about the super weird and creepy um, social media run by this woman who I guess now runs Glock, and I guess he left her the company, so she must have really knew how to handle the hardware.
She
So
sure did. And
she
then
sure
some.
did. So I've got three stories for the police blotter, and they're pretty good. I'll just let's do the let me find the one that's going to be the major one. So the first story is this happened the week of, I think, Christmas, at CVG local airport here in Cincinnati. You go to the check-in counter. I've been to that airport hundreds of times and checked in firearms, especially handguns, and you go to the counter, and they're pretty easy about it, like just an orange firearms tag, or I need an orange tag, do whatever. And a guy showed up there, and I guess the gun was loaded, and he's showing the gun to do whatever to check the gun. Gun ends up going off. He gets arrested because he discharged a firearm at the airport, and he conveyed a loaded gun into the airport, even though it wasn't beyond the checkpoints. So he was charged. So I don't know what his ultimate, how that'll be adjudicated, but that's not too bad. The second one is, I don't remember which one of you guys sent it to me. There's a rapper by the name of Too Short who was doing a video podcast, a video show, and he's sitting there on camera. You can see him from the knees up, and he's got probably a striker fired handgun in his left pocket, and he's reaching in his left pocket, fiddling with this gun, and the gun literally discharges. You see the entire thing in the gun going off in his pants,
I sent
and
that
apparently,
to you.
yeah, you said, and I don't think he was injured. Was he actually hurt? Like, I didn't see blood. I mean, he may have scorched his thigh, but I don't think he actually shot
You,
himself,
you
right?
just said it went off in his pants.
It went off in his pants. So wait, we're not talking about Glock anymore. We're talking about Too Short, okay?
Right.
So,
Different
so,
hardware.
Oh,
and then
I was still on the horse thing, so you know.
yeah, the horse thing. So the third one is, this is out of Sarasota, Florida, and this is a Hooters girl. She's 22 years old, named Sophia Ross, and she gets pulled over for DUI by the local popo because she's drunk. And this dash cam footage of this girl, caught on footage trying to flirt and flash her way out of the traffic stop. Sophia Ross, 22, of Sarasota, was pulled over a traffic stop on November 17th after a driver called 911 to report the waitress hitting several curbs and stopping at green lights. She basically, this entire video, I think they found her sleeping in the car. She's basically coming on to the cops. She's calling them daddy. I'll do this for you. I'll do that for you. I will do anything for you. She says, I will do anything for you, Daddy. And then she looks at one of the cops. She goes, God damn, you in that suit. I would do fucking anything for you. And this goes on and on and on. And the cops are like, ma'am, I'm not interested. Ma'am, I'm not interested. And this girl, what normally would have happened on the side of the road, embarrassing herself, or, maybe she would have gotten to do something. Well, this is now going to be forever. And this girl is a train wreck. She's a nobody who lives in nowhere, and she's young and dumb. And a lot of the problems that I think people that have kids are aware, or if you've been in the world are aware, you don't, there's a problem with young people. Like you don't give a 16-year-old boy a Ferrari because he can't handle it. Well, the problem a lot of like really pretty young women have is they're still very young, but they have this Ferrari body, and they don't know how to handle things. They don't know how to handle people. They don't know how to handle men. They don't handle themselves, and it just turns into a pile up like the 16-year-old kid with the Ferrari. While normally the young dumb girl, this girl's not blonde. This would have not been national news. Now with the cameras, you got to see this thing. This thing, like, I would have embarrassed for her. I'm embarrassed for her father. It's terrible because you just look at this girl and you're just like, this girl's whole life is just one drunken car crash from another and another and another and another. And I think it's an amazing video. So just an example of how everything's on.
Hey, Marky, real quick, is SHOT Show in Vegas?
Yes, it's
All
gotten to
right.
be so big. It's now always in Vegas. When I first started going to SHOT Show and working SHOT Show, it used to alternate. It actually was in Florida and then would bounce back and forth. And even before my time, it would even move around the country.
Well,
But
I'll tell you why I ask. I feel sorry for anybody going to SHOT Show if it's coming up in the near future, because yesterday they closed the main gasoline pipeline from California to Vegas, and it's shades of 1973, no gas, that many cars waiting in line in Vegas to get gas.
most people that go to Vegas for shows, they don't drive. I mean, the trucks come in, obviously. They truck all the stuff in that, but the people that attend, they're taking cabs. I guess as long as the cabs can get gas. So,
Yeah, it's crazy.
yeah.
Everything's
Yeah.
crazy.
Sounds crazy. Well, this wraps up episode 360 of the John 1911 podcast. You want to see more stories or pictures or links of Gaston Glock's life? Please go to the website at john1911.com. That's JOHN1911.com. Remember, it's all about shooting guns and having fun, everybody. Have a good day.
Bye-bye.
Take care.